My journey from becoming from a science person to a management person. Also focus on the genders that are beyond the men and women. Zero or say IoT or any of these. For me, the biggest concern today that I see that they have come up with a really pioneering concept, and I'm really
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative for development. I'm Sunny Pancholi, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. We have one such industry giant on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Ms. Kranti Munje. She is a seasoned human resource professional with over 3 decades of extensive experience spanning various aspects. Since 2006, as Chief Human Resource Officer at Magnates Inc., she has been pivotal in transitioning the organization from its nascent stage to maturity. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, Ms. Munje.
Thank you so much, Sunny.
So could you let our viewers know in brief about your career journey so far with earlier career inspirations and daily professional life motivations?
Sure, Sunny, you gave such a wonderful introduction of mine. I think that summarizes a lot on how I went about my career. So my early inspirations were, I was born and brought up in Nasik, and my dad worked with HAL. And I think anyone who has lived in a colony, just like that of an HAL, I think understanding industry, understanding the interplay between industry and society, understanding the socio-economic aspects of industry, people, and what they all do to each other. People learn it in a very natural way, and people pick it up. And the same has happened with me too. Dad being in HAL, and that was a greenfield project, when my dad joined. So I have actually seen, and I picked up early on, when I saw what the whole thing was, I picked up very early on that, when you have an industry and where you need a lot of people who are all migrating from some place or the other. And back then in the 60s, the concept was to setting up townships. Even the private players like Tatas have also done that, like in Jamshedpur, etc., wherein you get in people and then you create townships. But what really struck me was how I would listen to, what my dad was doing, sometimes see what he was doing, and I would see him counsel people, especially his team members, and a lot of time critical counseling happened at my home. So, wherein you become a friend, that happened at home. And a lot of times my dad would train his juniors, teach his juniors in the night at my home, because they would be up for promotions. And of course, back in the day, at least at that time, HL people had to give exams to get to qualify to be promoted. So I saw my dad do that. And I think these are the small little things that I picked up very early on, that one individual can make a big difference with his team or her team. And one industry can make a impact to the society that one can't even imagine. And the third aspect of my motivation was that it was the industry and people. The whole thing that was set up was very sustainable in a way, and it was very enriching. So the culture that had got created was very enriching culture, participative culture, and it was a quasi-India living together. So it brought in a lot of togetherness, lot of awareness, and lot of acceptance of differences. So it was, I must say, that was a cradle for me that nurtured the whole concept that I'm talking to you. And then naturally, when I started growing up and I started understanding more that, who does training, who creates what in an organization, etc., then my inclination was towards management. So as a kid, I didn't know, or when I was in my school, I didn't know what kind of management I wanted to do. Maybe I did not have that awareness when I was a kid, but I knew I wanted to be in a role that could create a very good positive impact both for the company and for its people and society in general. And so these were my early motivations that landed me into the HR field.
Amazing. Thank you for the excellent start to this interview. And I must say your career journey is truly inspiring. So continuing our conversation, Ms. Munje, what do you consider to be your biggest professional achievements and contributions?
My philosophy in life has been right from my first job. You do more. You have a role that has been given to you, but you can do much more with it. You just need to find where you can add value, and you can create your own role. So my focus has always been that. And with that philosophy, I have approached my career all through. And that is how, though I got qualified as an HR person from my HR college, I decided to take up a job not with an established HR department company, or back then it was personal management company department. I was lucky enough, I must say, that I got a role. I got selected in a company that was back then 125 years old. It was a global company, primarily in India, but across India. And they wanted someone to set up their department. So I was part of the seed team that got selected to create an HR department and the entire setup that is required. What it means is, right from the boardrooms to training rooms to libraries, and also then setting up quality systems in the organization, centralizing the resource function. So, optimizing in a way the entire business. So I think very early on, I got these opportunities, and I did this really very well, I must say. And that is how then I could keep moving ahead. And at a very early stage in my life, I was the best TQM trainer in the company, and I was the best TQM implementer in another company of mine. Another big achievement, I must say, now that I think about, is even today HRBP is a common role across industries. And probably I was the first person in the industry in 1998 who became the first HRBP. When we conceptualized that role in Patni, I used to work with Patni, and we wanted to do things differently for better efficiencies, better point services to our business groups. And I was the first HR person to become a decentralized person, eventually, which became today as an HRBP role. So I sometimes it feels nice that you are the person who laid the foundation for something that became an industry norm over years. So there are lots. I don't want to really indulge in. It'll just become a self-indulgent discussion.
But that sounds incredible. So building on to that, you pursued a BSc degree in biology and chemistry, but later changed tracks with a master's in labor studies and personal management. So what motivated this transition?
Through childhood, science was the first love. One of the first loves was science, apart from a couple of other subjects. One being maths and second being language, third being languages. So it was a very good, a different concoction of interests that I had. And the nurturing and what I was picking up was also management. So I'm very close to nature, and I really do care a lot for nature. So I wouldn't even throw the remaining water in my glass. I'll make sure I finish it. So I am very concerned about nature. So my one career option that I had decided for myself when I was in school was I wanted to go into forest conservation. So I believe that if forests are conserved, that does the you do the best thing for the mankind, at a grandeur level. So that's what biology is, something that I thought I should do, and see if I can get into the forest conservation route. But somehow my family wasn't really keen that I started in 3 or 4 years. They didn't expect that I should be going and staying in the jungles all by myself. So I fell to the second aspect, which was my management, and that is how I changed my tracks. And it's ridiculous, but when we are kids, we have a worldview for our own self and for the rest of the world, and then we move on. So that was my journey from becoming from a science person to a management person.
Amazing, Ms. Munje. So now that we have discussed your career journey, your professional pursuits, roles, and responsibilities, let's dive into the subject of ESG and corporate governance. So here is my obvious question to you. How and when did you develop an interest in ESG and corporate governance?
There are two things. One, like I just now said, I really am concerned for the environment, and I'm concerned for Mother Earth. And it's not for the Earth's survival. Earth will survive. It's we who will not survive, if we don't take care. So it's not, you don't do anything. I don't believe in save the Earth aspect. It is save yourself, actually, and save the mankind and the animals. So for that, you need to be mindful of how you utilize your resources, and how and that led me to an understanding of a sustained growth, which I said, when I was in HAL, that's what I saw. We had our own forest as a periphery of our colony. Every home was encouraged to grow their own gardens and orchards. So that was very important, because when you set up an industry, whatever you do, whether it is using, even if you're not using coal or anything, but it creates an impact on the environment. All of these aspects really help reduce the negative impact to the environment, and this is something I picked up early. And second aspect, then when I was doing my master's, and my master's, which is equivalent to MBA, is in labor studies, and naturally I studied labor laws as one subject for my both years. And anyone who learns the Factories Act and other related industry regulations that the government has, you realize that it is mandated. If you're a factory, what do you do to create a forest? Like I said, I learned that in HAL. So how do you create plantations, basically? So you create green zones, plantations. If you're doing a mine, you need to do certain things. If you are having a chemical factory, and if you're in that industry that is processing chemicals, making chemicals, then you are required to do certain things so that you reduce the impact. So coming to the point, in my college, I got a structured understanding of this aspect of taking care of your nature. Now, today we call it as ESG. But what I'm talking to you from the very beginning is all about ESG, your social, environmental, both these governances. And that is how I got interested. And anyways, it became part of my role being in HR, and because admin was with me, and from my second job onwards, I was also heading the department. So it became my responsibility to make sure that all of these things are taken care of. So it also included employees' health, employees' well-being, and everything, actually, all parts of the organization. So that is how I entered the world of ESG and corporate governance, because my role required me to do that. And I personally believe that it's very important for any organization to have a very, it has to work towards all the stakeholders. So one is the promoters or the owners or whoever it is, at the top level, and who are basically putting in all the money to make things happen. So it could be the government or whoever is owning. So that is one stakeholder. The second stakeholder is your employees. If you don't take care of them, they're not going to take care of the third stakeholder, which is your customers. And one has to make sure that you're creating value and you're balancing out everything between these stakeholders. And that was my foray into corporate governance. And again, as I said, I've studied law as part of my master's program. And then I continued to study because you need to learn different aspects. So, as in, say, information security stuff became part of my life, then I knew that there was a governance related to that. And in my last job, medicine, I'm no longer working with medicine. I just left them and I've started on my own. So the other aspects of governance came my way, which was compliances related to healthcare, especially specifically US healthcare related compliances, the HIPAA compliance, the corporate compliance program that is required both in the US, corporate compliance program that is required in India. So all of these aspects then became part and parcel of my life. And data security, as I said, became a part and parcel of my life. And that is how my big time of my career I have spent in these aspects.
All right. So as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
My values, like I said, I would want to, I have always tried to balance all the stakeholders. And for example, if it is, I'm going to take a step forward, and this I'm going towards the corporate social responsibility, because that also has been my responsibility. And as we as an organization, the society is also one of our stakeholders, because we cannot do anything that disturbs the society in a negative way. So that's also one of the aspects. And I believe the values that I bring are to create a balanced approach between all these stakeholders, because it has, if we go technically, then all of these aspects have various dimensions. It could be an environmental dimension, it could be a people dimension, it could be diversity dimension, it could be conservation, environment, everything. So depending on which industry you are, one has to focus. But as I said, my core values remain the same, that these are my stakeholders, and I have to make sure that I'm not impacting any of my stakeholders adversely. I need a minute, I'll talk on diversity. I have made sure in my life that and this I've been doing for decades, even when diversity was not a buzzword. I started with gender diversity. So I made sure that I always was trying to keep the pendulum somewhere in between by ensuring that the women workforce and the men workforce are there and they're balancing each other. So I have seen in the industry from almost my first job, probably there were only 10 women in the entire organization. I was the first one to be hired in the management cadre from there slowly then increasing the women workforce. So that became the first aspect of diversity, in which I always, it's part of my metric, in which all the organizations that I have worked, I have made sure it's part of my monthly metric, that, what is the combination, proportion of men and women in the organization. Then I slowly went and I said I must also focus on the genders that are beyond the men and women. And whenever I got, I had people who were willing to work from the third gender. For the sake of simplicity, I'm just calling it a third gender. I don't mean one specific, but I made sure that I hired all of them. And back then, just only hiring does not end my responsibility. Sensitizing people around so that these people are also just treated like everyone else, that became part of my life. So ensuring that everyone, irrespective of their orientations, was there. Then I got in neurodiversity. So I remember employing one person with multiple sclerosis, and we had to do special arrangements for the person and help her work from home, but give her life of dignity. So we moved on to the neurodiversity. Then I also moved on to differently abled people. So I remember having even dwarfs by creating special seats, chairs, everything so that they can be assimilated into the normal working atmosphere of all the organizations. So I have made sure that I take this whole ESG very seriously, and I measure it and I have driven it in my organizations.
Fantastic. All right. So moving ahead, let's discuss technology and its impact on your professional landscape. So here is my question to you. What are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology? That is part A. And what changes do you expect to see with the advent of IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, big data, digital twin, cloud, Web 3.0, etc.?
Okay. So, you know what? I started my career wherein now that becomes a talking point for the youngsters, that jab email nahi thi, what did you do? And I had been seriously asked these questions by young professionals. How did you all work when there were no emails? And then I explained to them back then what we did when there were no emails, because today no one can even think of a situation when there are no emails, right? And then how do you communicate with so many people without email? So I started my job then. And today, when everything is just at the click of a button, I will say I'm one of the blessed generation that has seen from that end to what we are today. Sometimes you're so scared, you just go from one place to another, and you open an app and it says, hey, do you want to eat anything today? Here are my suggestions of the restaurants around. So, it is magic, actually, if you ask me. So from then to now, I have seen it all. Coming to specifics of technologies, I have used AI applications extensively. I have used ML applications extensively. So I have implemented technologies globally for AI products, ML products, and I know what wonders they can do. Coming to the other aspects, that what was your the blockchain? Yeah, blockchain, according to me, is still a closed environment, and the blockchain can be used in certain. Blockchain may not have I may be wrong, but universal impact, because it is, if you and I are part of an ecosystem, then you and I can use blockchain. But I know of organizations that have been using blockchains very effectively in their own ecosystem of, say, the factory and its vendors and its customers, etc. So they have been using blockchain really very well. And I know these technologies, I'm sure, have a long way to go from where they have started. And Web 3.0, etc., are still coming up. So, and whether it is Web 3.0 or say IoT or any of these, for me, the biggest concern today that I see that all the brains have to think of is how do we make this whole environment secure and how can privacy be maintained? Because we usually say, oh, I will not share this with my neighbor, or I should not be talking about something to some person. But hey, you know what? You're on some social media and everything that you put there is known to everyone. It's not only to your friends, but anyone can look at it. So, and now when we are talking of these technologies furthermore, wherein we are moving to say Web 3.0, wherein everything on internet, on the World Wide Web, that all is going, can talk to each other, can connect with each other, can analyze with each other. So the question is, how do you use this data? Where will this data be used? And will there be only ethical use of the data? And how do we make sure that all these technologies end up finally, making us more secure rather than vulnerable? I think that is the biggest challenge that I see in all the technologies as they are becoming more and more intelligent.
Rightly said, Ms. Munje. And thank you for sharing such amazing insights into different subjects. So this brings us to the last question of the session. We are building a community of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So what are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Hemal Mehta, and the whole team of World Development Corporation?
No, I think, I would say that Zishan, Hemal and the team, they have come up with a really pioneering concept, and I'm really appreciative of their effort. I think it's only because of their effort that the whole thing has got propagated so much that today everyone is aware of, what is the need of the hour and how various people can contribute in this whole process. And I see so much activity around it. And if it was left for itself, it would have just happened in pockets. But thanks to Zishan, Hemal, and the entire team, that they have made it accessible to everyone, because the knowledge has been propagated so much, and the webinars that they have been doing, or the messaging that they have been doing on social media, and they have been patient enough to even answer so many questions and be part of the whole process with individuals. So I'm highly appreciative, and I think they are just doing it at the right time. And I must say, they are one of the forebearers of this whole thing that is happening there.
Absolutely. It was great, fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you once again, Ms. Kranti Munje, for joining us today. Wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute has unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds.
Yeah. Thank you, Sunny. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise, thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you. Yeah.